sponsor, people will know, oh, this is one of us, and hopefully do business with you. If you know somebody that's a business person, a small business person in this area, they really should get involved. Go talk to them. If you know somebody that would like to give something in the silent auction, please contact us. This is a fundraiser for the two groups that are putting this on, are two groups that are working hard to bring in individuals to let you know what's going on in the political field, both federally, state, and locally. So it takes funding. Or a little cowboy hat or some boots, you're welcome to wear those. We're going to have a great fun night, and so I want you to invite you to join us. Now, the way you do that is this should be on your table. Take your phone out and you can scan the QR code, and you can buy tickets, or you can buy a table right there, or you can contact us through that website. And if you like I said, if you buy a table, if you've got a business or something and you want to promote, or you're a candidate and you want to promote it, then we can do that. Also, if you have 8 people that want to go together and buy a regular table, we will put a reserve sign to make sure that you get to sit together. So it's going to be a great evening. Invite your friends, invite your family. If you've got somebody that you think, man, I just don't think they're in the know, then you know what? Get them a ticket and get them in the know. That's the best way to do that, right? And am I forgetting? Oh, Linda, raise your, no, better yet, stand up. Linda is the one, and Connie, go ahead and stand up too, because y'all can help each other. These two ladies, they know so much more about this. They just let me talk, but they're the brains. They know this stuff, and you can trust them with your money too if you need to write a check for a ticket. These are the legitimate people here, not me. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And where did Tom go? I lost Tom Roller. Oh, right here. I just didn't look far enough around. Okay, Tom, thank you so much.
Well, thank all of y'all so much for coming out in the cold weather. I apologize. I can't hardly talk. I caught my wife's cold, and so I'm going to have to. She owes me for this. You know? But we're really pleased to have Congressman Hunt here today. And I want to read his bio to you, and hope you'll. I think it's really fortunate to have someone like this serving in Congress. But Wesley Hunt was born and raised in Houston in a military family. He attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, graduating in 2004, and served 8 years in the U.S. Army as an Apache helicopter pilot. Now, just as a side note, he has 2 siblings who also graduated from West Point, and his dad, I think, was a colonel in the Army, and that between them they have over 60 years military service. And so, hell, is this better? Sorry. This is not my favorite place. I'd rather be sitting there. But anyway, sorry. But so they got over 60 years service in their family, in their immediate family, and that's a serious commitment to our country. So he was an Apache helicopter pilot, and his service included a deployment to Iraq, where he flew 55 combat missions, and 2 deployments to Saudi Arabia as a diplomatic liaison officer. After leaving the Army as a captain, Congressman Hunt earned his MBA. He was bored, I guess, and so he earned his MBA, his MPA, and his MILR, which neither one of those 2 things I know what they are, but maybe y'all do. From Cornell University, and he served in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2023. He sits on the National Resources and Judiciary Committees, and was appointed by President Trump to the West Point Board of Visitors in 2025. So he's going to come up here and talk to y'all, and there's just some questions to give you an idea. He's willing to answer any questions you have. And so if you're interested, like why are you running and what are you running for, and those kind of questions, different.
Thank you all very, very much for being here. Thank you all very, very much for having me. First things first, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to be here, for without him none of this is possible. I got asked a question by the gentleman right here when I first walked in. He goes, Wesley, you tend to answer any question you get asked. I said, of course, I'm not afraid to answer any question. He said, okay, well, what's the meaning of life? And I said, well, the meaning of life is to further the kingdom. Next question. And this is why we are here. This is why we are the greatest country in the world. And this is why I am running. At some point, we have to be unapologetic about our country, unapologetic about our patriotism, unapologetic about the God that we serve. That is America, and that is Texas. I'm born and raised in Houston, Texas, and my father is a retired lieutenant colonel in the military. He served for 20 years in the United States Army. My sister went to West Point in my family first. So she did 23 years active duty as a military intelligence officer. I would not be outdone by my sister, of course, so I went to West Point as well. Graduated 10 years later. Flew 55 combat air missions in Baghdad as an Apache helicopter pilot. Then did 2 tours of duty in Saudi Arabia as a diplomatic liaison officer. I spent 3 years of my life in the Middle East in countries that's run by Sharia law. So when I see it threatening my great state, as somebody that has lived in these regions, I can tell you it is not compatible with our way of life in this state and in this country. We have our own set of laws. We have our own constitutional republic. We have our own constitution that will be implemented in our own country. And if you can't assimilate to the ways of our life, well, guess what? Go back home. My brother is also a West Point graduate. Graduated a year behind me. So there's 60 years worth of military service just in my immediate family. At one point in 2006, my brother, sister, and I were all deployed in Baghdad at the same time for 2 months. I tell you that story because I had a praying mother and a praying father. And for whatever reason, God spared our lives for times just like these to continue to find ways to serve this great nation. But also, God spared my life because 14 of my West Point classmates didn't make it back alive. And not just them, but thousands of our brothers and sisters that served this great nation paid the ultimate sacrifice so we could wake up in the morning and put our feet on free, sovereign American soil and breathe free, sovereign American air. It's incumbent upon us to figure out ways to continue to serve this great nation because they are no longer here to serve for themselves. And by the way, those brave men that gave their lives, they were mostly white guys. And they didn't give their lives for black people or for white people or for Asian people or for Hispanic people. They gave their lives for all Americans. We must stop allowing the left to divide us on ideological, racial lines. If you love this country, if you are an American, and if you're sitting here and you're a Texan and you bleed Texas like I bleed, you are my brother and sister in Texas and in Christ. I don't care what you look like. Let's get on board and get our country back. My great-great-grandfather was born on a plantation. Rosedown Plantation, about 30 miles north of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's still there today. I bring this up because today is MLK Day. 3 of his great-great-grandchildren went to West Point. 3 of us served this great nation. One of them, me, became a United States congressman in a white majority district in a suburb of Houston, Texas, that President Trump would have won by 20 points, and I outperformed him. I won by 25 points, and I tell him that every time I see him. In the words of MLK, I'm literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. And I have the honor of not just being a congressman, but now running for Senate in the great state of Texas, and we are performing very, very well. Praise God. But the progress that we have had in this country is what I am focused on. That's what I care about. And I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old at my home every single day that I have to look at. And when I leave them every single week to go to D.C., and when I left them this morning to travel here, I want them to know that their daddy is trying his best to leave this place better than he found it. Sir, that is the meaning of life. For us to get up every single morning and serve those and serve the next generation behind us. Because if we don't, we could lose this great republic. I want to thank the gentlemen in the back for their service. I want to thank the first responders. I want to thank our Leos for their service. For watching the foolishness that's happening in Minnesota right now, we need to respect our law enforcement officers because they're the ones that get up every day and protect us. And these same wacko liberals are going to be the first people to call them when something goes wrong. The way you do this and the way you act is not to protest the people and get in the way and obstruct the people that are simply carrying out the laws of the federal government and local government. Respect them, and if you don't like what's going on, then that's fine. Try to change the politician. But do not obstruct the human being that gets up every day, puts on that vest, straps on a weapon to his hip or her hip to defend us. Ridiculous. Now, I'm running for Senate because the United States Senate is not a retirement community. Yeah, you sure it looks like it when you walk around there. And I am not an ageist, of course, because Donald Trump is 79 years old, but he is unlike any other human being I have ever seen in my life. You see, I was the first person to endorse President Trump in this last election. And since then, and because of that, he allowed me to travel with him. He allowed me to campaign for him. He made me one of his top surrogates in this last election. And thank God that I got to play a hand in electing President Trump because that was the most consequential election that we had in our lifetime, and I got to be a part of it. But most importantly, I watched his vision for the country, what he was trying to do to fix it, and for those people that think that just maybe he doesn't do everything that you might not like, and he might not be perfect, I'm here to tell you, we could have had Harrison Walls. He saved this country from the brink of disaster, and he has now surrounded himself with a 41-year-old vice president, a 53-year-old Secretary of State. Our Secretary of War is 45 years old. These are all young men that we need to carry on the America First movement. And that person, clearly, because you're here, is not John Cornyn. Number one, when you stay up in D.C. for 24 years, you actually forget what real Texans want. And I'm going to give you an example. That's why you co-authored gun control legislation in Texas. That's a colossal mistake. You see, I am somebody that is a big fan of the Second Amendment. I have an AR-15 for every person in my home. And if you want to walk in my house, guess what? And harm my 2 baby girls and my baby boy, I got some treats for you. And that's the whole point of the Second Amendment, to protect and defend your family and yourself, and to stop tyrannical governments from overtaking the rule of law. That's what this whole thing's about. Red flag laws do not belong in Texas because the only thing you are doing is obstructing law-abiding Americans from protecting their own Second Amendment rights, and that's exactly why our founding fathers did that. John Cornyn also said that the border wall was arcane and stupid and that walls don't work. Well, yes, they do work. And in fact, if you've noticed, abracadabra, just like that, with the stroke of a pen, our southern border is fixed. We didn't need any more laws. We just needed a new president. Here's the problem. We need senators with a backbone that are willing to codify what President Trump is doing now. Because when he leaves as president, and God forbid somebody else gets in there that's not J.D. Vance or somebody after that, all they have to do is overturn these executive orders and we're right back to square one. It's up to us to put them into law. That's why I'm running for Senate. I want to nuke the filibuster and get the America First agenda across the finish line. And as I stated earlier, Sharia law does not belong in the United States or in Texas. I repeat, it does not belong in the United States or Texas. I understand exactly what that region of the world, how they respond and how they act culturally, they are trying to come here and destroy us from within in the very fabric of what it means to be an American Christian. If we don't stand up right now and fight back, we will lose this battle. And I say over my dead body. That's why I am here. Because I can't imagine a world where you have me, Senator Ted Cruz, and Senator Wesley Hunt as your two senators fighting for you in D.C. With that being said, it's an honor to be here. God has blessed me to constantly be around my fellow Americans. He has blessed me and my family to serve this great nation and to find ways to continue to serve this great nation. I don't care about your race, religion, color, or creed. What I care about is, do you care about your children? Do you care about your families and your grandchildren and your great-great-grandchildren? Do you love the God that we serve? And if the answer to that is yes, well then I am your guy. And with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And thank you all so much for being here. God bless you. Thank you. Any questions? Was that good? Okay, about to say. Yes, ma'am. The question that I was asked was about term limits. I have already signed a term limit pledge. When I am your senator, I will serve 2 terms, 12 years. I believe in term limits. I've already term limited myself in the halls of Congress to 2 terms, 4 years. That's why I'm running for Senate. Being around for 20 years is not how our founding fathers wanted this to be, and here's why. They wanted citizens from areas around this country to go serve in D.C. and make laws. But you better make good laws, because at some point you're going to have to go back home and live with the laws that you make. When you don't care about the laws that you make because you don't ever plan on going back home, well then guess what? You make bad laws. When you make bad laws, you don't care about it. We all suffer. 12 years, 2 terms is enough. My little boy is 3 years old. I've had the best father in the world from me in my life and the best mother in the world. That's how you have 3 West Pointers that come out of one house. God-fearing parents that raised us. That is my privilege. And at some point, I have to return home and raise my own family. I'm serving this country now, but I can't be a politician forever, because then I won't be able to be that example for Willie Parrish Hunt II, my little boy who is now 3 years old. I firmly believe in term limits, but the problem is that these people are not going to retire themselves. So it's up to you to retire them with me. Thank you. Great question, man. Yes, sir.
Why do laws have to be so thousands of pages when they should be simple?
He said, why do laws have to be thousands and thousands of pages when they should be simple? Sir, we got away from what's called regular order. Regular order means that you vote for 12 individual appropriations bills separately. And we did this 20 years ago, and that's why we had a balanced budget. Over the course of the past 20 years, when John Cornyn first got elected to office in the early 2000s, our deficit was less than $200 billion. And now it is $38.7 trillion today. And he sat by and did nothing about it. And why is that? We replaced regular order, where you would send the appropriations bills down to each committee. We all voted on it individually, and we sent it back up. That meant we actually scrutinized how we were going to spend your money. Well, we stopped doing that because we had what's called a continuing resolution and omnibus spending, meaning that we stopped going through each bill line by line, and we just started putting it all in one big pile. And when you do this, that's how you get the fraud, waste, and abuse that we have seen. That's how you get the pet projects in, and that's how they steal from the American people. I am somebody, for the first 2 years during the Biden administration, I did not vote for a single continuing resolution. I was one of 40 Republicans that stood strong against that. The only reason why I'm voting for continuing resolutions now is because Trump is back in charge, and we need to grow our way out of this mess and slowly figure out ways to cut spending and cut fraud, waste, and abuse. And we have to give him runway to do that. We have got to get back to regular order. And that's why I'm running in my early 40s, because I'm going to be around to actually figure out what's going to happen for the future. Before I am 50 years old, Social Security will be insolvent. Medicare and Medicare will be insolvent. So guess what? People like me have to fix this problem. And I guarantee you want people like me in the room, because I'm looking after your best interest, not the special interest of DC. Also, I have signed a pledge to never trade a stock while I am serving you in the halls of Congress. While it is not illegal, I'm here to tell you it's absolutely immoral. It is not your job to get rich on the backs of the American public while you serve them. That's why I believe in term limits, because at some point, my daughter is going to want to go to college. From the likes of it's looking like Texas Tech on days like this. But I got to figure out how to pay for my family and gas to go make some money, but not on the backs of you, the American taxpayer. And the reason why it's cheating, because I have the ability to put one line of text that could benefit an industry, and I can absolutely trade on that information. Don't let anybody lie to you. When people are getting rich because of stock trades in DC, they know exactly what they're doing, and it's quite easy, because we are the ones that are making the laws that could benefit an industry, and then you could trade on that information. It's immoral. And my father always taught me, son, all money ain't good money. God will take care of you, but don't cheat the American people. Thank you. The next, the healthcare reform. The ACA was passed by who? Democrats. Now that we're in charge, they're expecting us to fix their mess. And guess what? We're working on it. The way the Trump administration is working on this is to get rid of fraud, waste, and abuse in the medical industry. That accounts for 1 in 4 of our Medicare tax dollars goes to fraud. Look at what's happening in Minnesota, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. So we have to reform this whole system, but in the short term, imagine cutting 25% and that 25% going back in the pockets to you to reduce your cost and reduce the cost of prescription medication. Now, unfortunately, the ACA was extended for the next 3 years for some good reason, for some not so good reason. But before President Trump leaves, we have to come up with a solution for you all. Again, this is why I'm running, because this is an issue that's going to have to be tackled by young, smart people, because we can't keep kicking the can down the road because the system is clearly broken. Insurance companies are making way too much money, and the United States government has no right to get between you and your doctor, and the funds need to be going directly to you and your doctor, not to the insurance companies. These are all issues that we're going to have to tackle in the next 3 years because the ACA is extended through that time. But at the end of these next 3 years, what a shame it would be if we just extended the ACA. That's why we need fighters now to solve this problem. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So, backtracking that question, how do you keep insurance companies accountable? You know, when you file a claim, one of the first questions they ask if you have an insurance policy. Because then that bare aspirin that could cost $5 is going to cost $25 because you have insurance.
That's correct. So the question is that, you know, how do we keep insurance companies from being involved? Because the first thing you get asked is, do you have insurance? And the second you say yes, then the price jumps up 2,000%. President Trump is the first president that you have heard on the record say what words? The insurance companies are making too much money. Have you ever heard a president say that? No. Have you ever heard a president say the credit card companies it's predatory what they are doing to everyday Americans? And so if you don't get this right, I am going to cut your interest rates via an executive order. Have you ever heard that before from any president? You've never heard it. So here is the rich billionaire that's actively looking after you. So he can do this via executive fiat. The issue then is if he passes an executive order that caps how much money insurance companies can make, that then caps how much bare cost or any prescription drug cost, that's right, it'll be good for the next couple of years. But what happens after he is gone? The issue is us following his lead and then people like me codifying it to law so that it can't go back to business as usual when it's over. And we know that people like John Cornyn and Collins and Tillis and everybody else, a lot of them, the old Bush legacy Republicans, are not going to stand up for Trump's agenda because they are a part of the Uniparty. That's why we need a leadership change to codify what President Trump is talking about doing. He can do it via executive fiat, and I think he's going to. But then how do we codify it and make it law? And again, I'm not an anti-capitalist guy. Trust me, I believe in separation of the federal government. In fact, it's my job to keep the federal government out of your lives. It's also my job to keep the American citizens safe. And it is ridiculous to see insurance companies make this much money. And everybody knows that it's the worst kept secret. So we have to have people that have the guts to say no. And it's people like me, people like Senator Cruz, people like Senator Hawley. These are the kinds of people that understand exactly what you're talking about, but we need more of them. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Say again? The question is, are there plans to limit lobbyists? And again, ma'am, I'm an honest broker. I'm going to shoot you straight. They're never going to go away, unfortunately. The issue that we have to have with lobbyists is this. We need to have leaders that understand that lobbyists buy into our agenda. We don't buy into their agenda. Now, I'm looking at this with a fine-tooth comb. My chief of staff is sitting back here already, and I think what's getting ready to happen for me is when I am your next senator, I'm going to take a pledge like Senator Cruz and not take any more lobbyist money. Now that I've been around long enough, I realize I could probably raise my own money, and I want to be free of the burden in the back of your mind to think that Wesley Hunt is bought and paid for, even though I will never be bought and paid for. I am the guy that leadership, Senate leadership, doesn't want me anywhere near this race. Trust me. They have spent $75 million on John Cornyn, and he is still polling in the 20s as a 24-year incumbent. It's a complete disgrace. But at the end of the day, it's going to take people like me that look at interest groups and say that does not benefit the American public. And quite frankly, I don't care how much money you have or how much money you've given me. The answer is no. Do I strike you as the kind of person that's scared of telling someone no? I get up every day, ma'am, for whatever reason, with a reinvigorated spirit because I'm just glad to be alive. I flew combat air missions in Baghdad. I believe that every day God gives me is a gift because, quite frankly, I don't know how I'm still here. So with that being said, I serve a higher power. And that is the reason why I have a backbone. That's the reason why I had the courage to even get in this fight and give up my seat. And everybody thought that I was crazy. But I'm not crazy. Because I get up every day, not worried about my political career, but figure out ways to serve you in the kingdom. Yes, sir.
We know, but men, women's sports.
That's a softball, sir. You could do better than that. Yeah, great question. Great minds think alike. So the question is men and women's sports. You know, we are now living in a world where all common sense isn't so common. President Trump is our president not because he ran as a Republican or as a Democrat, but because he has what's called common sense. And it just so happens that that mostly falls on our side because what we can understand as conservatives and as people that understand that that God made two genders, and there are two genders and an infinite amount of mental illness. God made a man and God made a woman. I got 2 baby girls in my house. Over my dead body are men going to compete against my babies. We're going to destroy women's sports, and this shouldn't be a difficult conversation. I was in the Oval Office with the president when he signed the executive order to ban biological men from competing against biological women. Do you know what he said in that meeting? He said, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe that I have to sign an executive order to define that biological men shouldn't be competing against biological women as if God didn't create us differently. Unbelievable, but that's where this country is. And what I tell people all the time, you better start voting conservatively and you better get on board because the litmus test to find out how someone feels and how intelligent they are is a very simple question. How many genders are there? If that answer is different from 2, I don't want to talk to you anymore because if you can't get that baseline question right, you are highly confused with how the world works. So it's very simple, sir. We are fighting on the side of common sense. This is a 90-10 issue for us. 90-10. And by the way, this cuts across ideological, this cuts across political lines. It's very easy. Biological men should not be competing against biological women in the discussion. Not hard.
Aviator, do you have an opinion on
New MD-75? So the question is, as an aviator, do I have any feelings about the new MD-75? I know why you're asking that question, given the company that you work for, sir. Innovation, innovation, innovation. What I love most about this presidency is his idea of having peace through strength. Peace through strength also means being able to flex when it's time to flex, to get the respect of the world and to gain their attention, like we did with Iran, like we just did with Maduro, but also ensuring that we stay technologically advanced and stay at the tip of the spear in all ways. But what I like most about what President Trump is doing is he's holding y'all accountable. He's holding these projects accountable because they got to be on time and they got to be on target, and no more wastes. Now, Bell has been very good for decades about being good about delivering on what they ask for. Lockheed may need some work, if you know what I mean. But what I do like about it is it's one of the most innovative helicopters that's going to be ever created. And I like the idea of continuing to be the tip of the spear and innovating our way to the next generation. If we don't invest in that, that's how we fall behind all the other countries, and we can't afford to do that. Also, when we stay technologically sound and advanced and have a strong, fit, no DEI military, it's deterrence. That's how you keep people from messing with us, and that's also how you keep us from getting involved in 10-year, $3 trillion wars like the war that I fought in. We have to get ahead of that. And then when God calls us to fight, because the Bible talks about there being a time for peace and a time for war. A time for war is coming, but we're going to be ready with a technologically advanced, fit military that's going to be for a worthy cause. We have people like me who have fought in these wars, and I am not going to send the treasure of this country, our sons and daughters, to go fight in the war unless it's worth it and unless we're ready. Thank you for your question. I think I have time for one more. Yes, sir. Yeah. The question is, Greenland is in the news quite a bit. You know, what's really funny is this is the definition of Trump derangement syndrome. Because we've been talking about Greenland since the 1800s. It's actually a strategic piece of land that can be used by us as a deterrence in the Arctic. It's really not that difficult to understand. The only reason why we have this conversation that people are losing their minds is because President Trump wants to do it. You know, I kind of liken this to what's happening in Minnesota. Do you know Barack Obama deported far more people than President Trump did, and guess what? He used ICE to do it. But you don't hear anything about it because that was a Democrat, and the Democrat-run states just cooperated with the agenda of that president. The reason why we're seeing all this crap now from a president who deported fewer people than Barack Obama is just because President Trump is doing it. So now this goes back to Greenland. We're talking about a strategic play, and you know how he is. It's the art of the deal. And for a good deal, for the right idea, and if the people don't want to wave their flag under Denmark, and who would? I'd rather have Old Glory than Denmark any day of the week and twice on Sunday, if I'm being honest with you. It could work out to be beneficial for both regions. Let him work it. Let's see how this goes. You know, he always starts over here, and then he ends up getting what he wants basically 100% of the time. I would not doubt him at all on any of these strategic international plays. He has a hat that he wears all the time in the Oval Office that says, Trump was right about everything. He's not wrong. Thank you. One more. I didn't hear you. Yeah, the question is, what is the strategy in case Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat? The strategy is Wesley Hunt. I get up every morning and I say my prayers, and my 3-year-old wakes us up every single day at like 5:30 a.m., like clockwork. I roll out of bed, I say the Lord's Prayer in the 23rd Psalm, listen to a gospel song, and then I pray for Jasmine Crockett to be their nominee. Because that would be a debate that I think everybody in the country would want to see. I have actually challenged her to a debate, and of course she said no, understandably so. But if she were the nominee, she would have to say yes. Now, can you imagine the ideological difference of someone who views themselves and views this world as Trump bad, white people bad, country not fair, and the comparison of someone like me that believes in this great nation, that fought for this great nation, that is the very progress of this great nation. Both of us, me and Jasmine, have been black around the same amount of time, roughly. I've been black for like my entire life. So is she, allegedly, right? So at that point, you have two people that are roughly the same age that have two completely different visions for America. Imagine which one aligns more than with Texas, hers or mine. And I can assure you, you already know the answer to that, ma'am. So let's pray every day that we don't get Tallarico and that we get Jasmine Crockett against Wesley. Thank you. Well, we got to make a few more stops after this, but again, I'm going to swing back through here in the beginning of next month. We are traveling all over the state of Texas. My biggest issue is my name ID out here. We're doing well in the major markets, but it's going to take you. It's going to take your help, and most importantly, above all, it's going to take your prayers. For God hears the words of a praying nation. Get up in the morning and pray for this great nation, pray for leadership, pray for me and my family, and also, most importantly, pray for the safety of my family and I get to stand up in these crowds, especially after watching what happened to Charlie Kirk, and I've realized that it's just going to take brave patriots to stand up here in front of people and to continue to spread the good word, even if it means my life. And if we don't have your prayers, then if I don't have your hedge of protection, it makes us far more dangerous. But God hears the prayers of the righteous. So please pray for us, pray for this nation, pray for this next election, and pray for Texas. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of y'all for coming. We appreciate the congressman coming. And if you haven't got your Lincoln Reagan Day tickets yet, please get one of the flyers and use the QR code. And